Hello everybody. Today I'll be changing the brakes and the rotors on my 2016 Toyota RAV4 XLE. This is my first time ever doing it. I saw a couple of videos online and I didn't think they were as in-depth as I'd like, so I thought I would make a video since I'm doing it anyway. Normally I just change my oil, but I thought I would go ahead and step up and take a new challenge today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Enjoy the video.
We took off the brake fluid on the car. So on the RAV4, this one was pretty low. There's really nothing in there. So maybe because the brakes are really low, I'm not sure yet. But no, here's a little cap. So pop it right off. I just. So once I fix all the brakes and they go back, I'm gonna see how much fluid there is. If I need to put more in there. Got the jack, stand, torque wrench, some brake, burner, brake and grease, caliper grease, a wire brush, 14mm, 17mm wrench. These are the rear brakes. Some paper towels, brake cleaner. Towels, the rotors, the back rotors, and that shows everything for now. It tells you that to take off the rear before jacking it up to put the jack stand. You want to make sure you loosen the bolts, or else it's going to be a very tough time getting those things off. And you can see on mine, I have a security lock Lug Nut on there, so make sure you have that handy as well. We almost got all the lug nuts out. The jack stand is in place. Just got a third section, you see it right there. But it's all supported by the jack. I just left the jack there. And make sure you have a jack that holds enough for your car. My car is 24 to 2,600 pounds. So it's like around 2 tons something. Like 3 ton. And I'm about to pop the tire off right now. You also want to be careful on this last lug nut since the tire is off the ground. It may pop off, so you want to make sure that you kind of hold it. I'm holding it with my feet just out of convenience, but when I pop this off, I don't want it to pop right out and land on top of me. So you gotta be careful. Oh, so you're about to have it right there. There you go. Oh, so it's moving. Stay. There you go, it's off. Alright. Get a first look at the brakes. First caliper doesn't look too rusty, so that's good. We'll see what the piston looks like. We'll see once we take a little bit more off here. So I'm going to take off the caliper next. I got to take this off. Make sure you put these lug nuts in a safe spot so you don't lose them. And this is my first time doing this ever. I got a bunch of bags over there. Okay, so looks like I'm gonna remove this one. So if you're looking at it from this side, it's gonna be right here, and this one right here. Take off this caliper, and like all the other videos, this is the hose. So you want to be careful when you take that off. Place it somewhere out of the way. And make sure you don't break this line. So let me start cranking. This is the very first one. It actually came off pretty easy. Once again, that's a 14mm for these first two. So I didn't have to put too much pressure, and I did have enough room with the wrench. I was afraid I was going to need the flat, but it came off pretty simple. Or the bucket pretty simple. right out. That wasn't hard at all. Let's see this one. This one's a little close to the brake, and I don't like that. But it looks like I can sneak it in there without damaging that line. Put a little pressure on it. That's it. Okay. Just like that. Sounds good. We're just gonna get stuck there. Take out this bottom one by hand. So I took out that second one on top, took it off from right there, and voila, look at that. There's just a little rust inside the chamber. There's none on the outside, so that's good. I think we should be good. But for now, we're going to place this right over here. Right here, this little bracket. Make sure the line is still good, so it should be in a safe spot right now. Can't fall off. Secured. Switch the heads here. This is the 14. Just gotta make sure you keep track of all your stuff. We'll put this 14mm bolts in there. Let me get these 17. I got all these tools at Harbor Freight, except obviously the brake pads and stuff. But all the other stuff, all the tools I needed, they had it all at Harbor Freight. So we're about to take off the second caliper with the 17mm. And no, it's not these. It looks like it, but they're actually back here. So you can tell because the head's gonna fit on there. There's the first one and the bottom one. Alright, there's the second one right here. We're gonna take the first one, the bottom one first. Leverage here. Okay. That one was a lot harder to get off than the other one. I had to put some body weight on that. So, hopefully you guys don't have the same problem, but mine, yeah, I had to put almost my whole body weight on that thing. Of course, get that thing out of there. I'm about to loosen up the second one here. Just as tight, I had to use a lot of body weight. So now they're easy enough to remove by hand. I'm going to remove the bottom one first. So place that one over there, secure. The second one, I'm holding the caliper with my hand. And place that over there. Alright, so should come off. Should come right off. Look at that. I don't see too much rust or anything on there either, so that's good. There's the little pins. Yeah, that brake pad looks pretty on one side. Oh shit, is that a raindrop? Oh shit, okay. Here are the roll pads, caliper. These are the rear Duralast gold ceramic pads for the 2016 RAV4 XLE. So let's put these bad boys on. I might have to hold off because it looks like it's about to rain a little bit. Let's see if that clears up really quick. There's not supposed to be any rain. You can see this. So I think I'm going to put the pins and lube them up last. I don't want to get any grease on them, on the brakes. I'd rather put the brakes in first and this stuff. It does say to put a little grease on here as well, so we'll double check that. So I'm gonna remove the brakes. I've never done this. So push it back. There you go. Push it out once. Same for this one. There you go. And these are the pins. So they said to be careful with the pins. They are sharp. Here's the brake pads. It's pretty thin. Here's the other one. The other one. This is the inside one. Got a lot more. You see, this one doesn't have a pin. This one doesn't have a pin. This one does have a little metallic pin on this side, and that's the part that goes down. Alright, so a pin down into the caliper. So just remember that as well. Here are the new pads. A lot thicker. Again, here's one of the really bad old ones. Compared to the new ones. So you can get a pretty good comparison. Alright, so the next part, like you're not, these brackets, a bunch of brackets. Now, it looks like they have these singled out extra, so it's not part of this little bracket. So this is the little pin that we saw on this bracket. So this is the old brake. See this little pin at the bottom right there? So that's this, so I guess we have to add that on as well. I guess I'm going to have to add that on. Let's see what happens here. So let's remove this thing. This is a sharp gate. So we got a little flat head. Let's see what happens. There you go. Boom. Came right out. Just gotta stick it in this little hole at the top. Push down. Get right out. Boom. So we gotta make sure you put it back the same way. So this way. The little hood scoop goes on the bottom. And it actually went in a little too easy. Didn't even give me any trouble. I don't like that. Why is that? That actually like clipped in there. So it's got a lot of wiggle room. See that? Didn't even clip in there. This one was clipped in there. Why is that? Does this expand more over time, or is there another one that got okay, so I used another one in that bag. This one is a lot tighter, so I'm going to use this one. So, make sure it's the same one. Yep, they still match up. Still the same one. So, then put this in there. There we go. Okay. It's nice and flush in there. Okay, so I'm supposed to scrape the rust. I don't see any rust. Nothing on there. And I guess we could use some brake fluid just to rub it down if we really wanted to. But it's a little dirty. I guess a little brake fluid doesn't kill. I mean, I bought it, might as well use it for something besides the rotors. So depending on what video, I saw the brake fluid on the caliper on the O'Reilly video. So if that means anything to you. That came out of that picture. Let's put a little brake fluid on there. Let's just spray it like that. I don't want to do it too close to the camera, but course, I sprayed up in this little chamber as well. Wasn't that much dirt anyway. I'll put that back in there. Alright. Definitely click on that top part. That's where it secures the best. Alright. So, that looks good. So I gotta take out the other one on this side. The same deal. Just go ahead and stick this through the top to remove this. Ooh, this one's got a little more rust on there. Keep that one, make sure I match it up with the other one. See, there's a lot more rust on this one. Let me see. Okay, yep. Looks like it's going to be tight in here. There's that top right there. So that's good. Looks like that so far. I'm going to put a little brake fluid on this. Damn, that shit is sharp. I already cut my glove open on that one side. Just take the metal brush here. Just do it lightly. There's no need to scratch that hard, I don't think. See that? And of course, on one of the videos, it said make sure do not breathe that rust in, bro. So just be careful with that. They keep scratching me. Okay. So that's all cleaned up. I'll go ahead and stick this in here, the little flap again. See, there's a little bracket that sticks out. You want to stick it right up here. Just like the other one. Oh, you bitch. That wind blew away one of my rags. This one gave me a little more trouble than the other one, just to fasten it in there really good. I felt a little loose when I put it in, so I just pressed on this right in here. I just pressed down on that to make it really flush on there. And it fits a lot better now. Okay, so it looks like we're good to go on that. So I'll replace those. Alright, so now this is where it gets a little tricky, because they said one person, different videos I saw, they did put grease on these, and some people don't. So I'm not sure if I want to put the grease or not, because I don't see how there was any grease on here on the last one. I don't see the point of putting the grease on there. So I'm not going to put the grease. Alright, so it looks like, looking at the old brakes, it's going to go like this. So you see the little ridge, I guess we'll call it like the rainbow. The ridge goes like this in a circle. So you want to make sure you put this one in the inside, so it's closest to the pin. You can see there's like a little clip right here. Metal piece in there. You can see it. Just clip it right in there. Push it down. There it goes. I guess a little bit, make sure it's in there. There you go, hit something good. That's always good to me. We're going to slide this back inside the bracket. I was able to get that one in there. Goes in really easy. Once again, remember that little pin right there goes on the bottom. So this is the top, this is the bottom. So now that we got this one in there, I'm going to remove these pins and grease them up. Just going to use the little pliers here. So I've got to be careful. See that? Not sure if you're able to see that, but I almost took it out, and this is stuck really tight at the lip right here at the top. It almost ripped this hose. So I'm going to be careful to remove it from the top so it does not completely rip this hose. There you go, you see that? Nice. Be careful when you guys take these out that you don't pull too hard and rip this hose. So be careful with that. It's very dry. So let me take out this other one.
Once again, this was the back pins of the back wheels, and so I wasn't able to get the front ones on video because it was so late. It took me so long to do this, but you can see they're coming out relatively difficult here, not that bad. They're really dry, but the front ones were so dry it took me 10 to 15 minutes of tugging with that plier up and down, and it took me forever to get it out. It was that dry, and the worst part is those front ones were done by a car company, and they basically didn't put any grease on those pins at all. It was that dry, so I'm glad I'm doing this myself this time.
That looks good. And then put some in the boot. That was recommended as well. For a little bit. Boot over here. Stick it back on the boot. Oh yeah, it slid in a lot better than the one on the top, so be careful with that. The little rubber part went nice and smooth back to the pin top, so make sure that the pin goes nice and flush on there. Grease up this pin. This pin boot, I'll put a little bit more just because I already put some in there, and you cannot just put them on that boot. Okay, let's stick this one in there. Oh yeah, that one went in there nice and smooth as well. See this one as well. It's nice and smooth now. A little rubber seal back over the little lisp. It's nice and flush to the pin top again. So those are good to go. So the next part is I have to realign this a little bit, make sure it goes back in place. There we go. You have to lift up these little clips a little bit to secure it back in there. There you go. Okay. It's nice and flush again, so now it's time to put this on back onto, oh no, shit. I gotta put the rotors on. So this is the new rotor. As you can see, I took it out the plastic, but it does have a weird film on it. Like I said, so I'm gonna spray it with some brake fluid. you can see it actually dries up really quick. Alright, this one side. I don't know if you can see the film on that one. Wiping this one. Pretty simple. Alright, so I just washed them both with the brake fluid, brake cleaner. I rinsed both sides again, so it should be good to go. And now I have to knock off the old rotor, so it's time to bust out the hammer. We'll see how that goes next. Since I'm getting rid of the rotor, I'm hitting it with the metal hammer. Or else I wouldn't care. If I did, I'd be removing it with a rubber mallet. But let me see. I'm gonna hit it from the back side. So it looks like there's a little opening between, let's see, the bridge right here. So another part. So there's open space right here to hit it. Pretty loud though. That thing does not want to come off. Oh, you are stubborn. Oh, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Boom, it came right off. Nice. You just gotta smack it a little bit. See, it's rusted up. Nice and shiny. It's got grooves on there. It's got, I don't know. From what I understand, those rings are bad. Should have just been resurfaced, but I've had them since my car is 6 years old. Over 80,000 miles, so I think it's time to replace the rotors. Alright. So they said it's a little rusty back here, so I'm going to clean that up a little bit. Just a little brush here first before. Remember, don't breathe this stuff in there. Just lightly brush this off. Sorry for the camera, I'm trying to do this while I'm holding it. Alright, now wipe this. Sorry I didn't really show that, but it looks a little bit better maybe. So I just sprayed some of this on the towel. Alright, so I just sprayed it on here. I'll clean it up a little bit. I'm going to scrape it a little bit more. And now in the video they put anti-seize around the hole. Once again, pretty sure that's more in the south where there's a lot of salt. In the north, not the south, where there's a lot more salt that they use to clear up the roads when it's warmer out. So I put a little bit of caliper grease on there, not too crazy, it shouldn't do any harm. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the new rotor right on there. Voila, fit right on there. It looks really nice actually. Next it says to secure the caliper on there, or sorry, secure the new rotor on there with this thing, because you don't want it to shift while you're putting the calipers back on. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. The next step is to put this back on, this caliper, put it back on. And before I do that, I'm going to, where's the brake? Prep the second brake pad. And I'm gonna add one of these little, one of these things. Gotta add this back on that. So you see the little rainbow, the arc. Just gonna go in like this, which means this little pin thing is gonna go on the bottom. Once again, you can see the little hole for the clip, and you can see the little clip right inside right there. Sorry about that. This is my first time doing this shit. So you're gonna put it like this, right? So this little clip right here. You can see it right there, right in the bottom. Right there, that clip is gonna go right in this little hole. So I'm gonna just pop it like that. So the nipple should be on top. See the little nipple? Pop that on there. Here, clip. I'm gonna put this in there just for good measure. Alright, it's nice and secure in there. So, once again, you got the Rambo clip. You're gonna put it in like this. Just stick it in there. These little things you can move up. It'd be easier to stick this one in first. Let's see. Stick it underneath this little one, and you can lift this one up with your finger. Push the other one down. There you go. Oh crap, you know what? I gotta put this back on the... I gotta put this on the caliper first. Okay. The pin should be towards the car. Go ahead and put this back on there. There you go. Goes right on there. Now we gotta find the pins at the same time. You see it's gonna line up with those right there. So it should line up with this hole right there. These two. These are the 17mm ones, the back ones. So it took a minute to get it flush in there. Can you see it? There you go. Tight, but too tight. Put the other one in. Brake pad stay in place for now. And tightened. That looks good. So now I can go ahead and put the second brake pad. Got the little pin on the bottom of this, and you're just gonna stick it right there. Get it inside of the clips. There you go. Just stick it in between these two parts. You might have to play with this part to lift it up to sneak it in there, but it is in there. That together, I think that's what it's supposed to look like. Nice and tight in there. Everything looks good. Let me double check. Alright, so now that the bolts are in place, right, and I didn't put any lubrication on them, because from what I understand from reading, is that when you put lubrication, I think that they put, once again, it's a north and south thing, and if you live up north, you can put you should put the anti-seize on there, so you don't get any rust in there. But so I didn't put any lube on there. And so the next step is the torque wrench. So I bought a torque wrench, and as you can see, the torque is supposed to be 72 from what I read online. So you just turn this little knob right here, right, this knob. Turn it left and right, and it moves the little handle. And if it gets stuck, there's a little notch on the bottom that says lock and unlock. So you just twist it, to the left or to the right. I had to use a plier as well to unlock it because it wouldn't let me go all the way up to 70. But now I can. So I had to unlock this with the little pliers. So then you just turn the handle. Right, just turn the handle this way, right? So I just rotate it this way to increase, decreases this way. And once you hit that line, where I'm on the 70 line, you rotate it twice to get 72. So you can see the 0 is over here. So for 70, it will be right in the middle of this part right here. You see this little line that goes all the way down, right? So the 0 If the 0 was right on this line, right here, if it was right on this line, that would be 70. But I moved it 2 notches, so that's 72. I can move it a little bit more to the right, but alright, so now I gotta put in this bolt, tighten the bolt, torque wrench, to get it up to 72. And it's supposed to click by itself when you've hit that. It. So let's see here. Nice. Feels pretty tight already. Jesus, it's gotta go more. Okay, so since this is my first time doing it, I was a little worried using the torque wrench because it says it's supposed to click or something when you hit the appropriate weight. And so I did it, and I did feel it. So unfortunately I didn't record it, but I'm gonna try to do it on this next one on the top pins. So the 17 millimeter was 72. And it was a lot easier because before I was going from the bottom and lifting up like this. Right? So I was lifting up and I was moving the whole car, so I didn't like that. I mean, you may like it. So I decided to go inside the wheel and I connected the bolt and I moved it this way. So I don't know if it's preference, but it was easier for me to do it this way. And it's pretty damn tight, I'm not gonna lie. I felt like I was gonna break it. And once you do it really, really tight, the whole bar will click. So it's not like a little small click. I'm gonna try to get it on video for this next one for the 14 millimeter to put the caliper back on. But before we do that, I'm gonna have to put the piston back inside so I can fit it over the new brakes. When you're retracting the piston, you wanna go slow. So the piston, right, that little thing right there. You gotta stick it back inside a little bit. You gotta go slow so that you don't overdo it and rush the fluid outside of that little canister that we were just watching. So I don't have a lot in there, but obviously I'm still gonna go slow. Alright, so the next part is to put the piston back in. It's gotta be flush with the bottom. So a couple of videos recommended to take your old brake pad and you're gonna wanna put it inside the piston. So there's the old brake pad, paper towel, inside. So there's the piston on the bottom. It's right there. Okay, so I got the C-clamp on there with the brake in. I mean, that C-clamp just barely fits on there. So it says it's 3-inch, I guess. I mean, I had to put it all the way down, and it barely slipped onto there. So it should look like this. Alright, so it's caliper, so I'm going to start pushing this down. Oh, it's definitely working, guys. I wonder if there's a way I can get a shot of this. There we go. So it is retracting it. Just turning it a little bit, very slow. Let's see what we got. Twisting it very slowly. It is definitely working, guys. It is moving it down. That's amazing. I'm gonna take it off just to check it because it feels like it's tight. So, still got a little bit more, but it's going down. Put that back on there. Alright, I'm hitting, for sure I've hit right bottom there. It's pretty tight. So. Wow, look at that, guys. Pushed it all the way in there. That's awesome. So there are different things on this one as well. So it's it. Once again, up north, they put the anti-seize around the piston a little bit to lubricate it. Once again, I'm pretty sure that's for rusting. Maybe obviously lube it up a little bit, but there's no rust on mine. So I watched another video, it was a O'Reilly Auto Parts video where the guy used brake cleaner to rinse it off a little bit. So that's what I'm gonna do. Just gonna use a little brake cleaner. Rinse off this area. So just sprayed it on a towel. Looks good. Okay. So So this has to go back on here now that it's cleaned up. So the whole reason you had to use a C-clamp to push that back down so that you can fit it back over these brake pads since they're thicker now. So let's see. Boom. Perfect. It looks like these things are getting in the way. I'm gonna push them down. Yep. So if you're having trouble, just make sure you push down those little pins to get the bracket over. You see it? Oh, duh, my bad. That's where the new pins go. Sorry, that's where the bolts go into. So, once again, this is my first time doing this, so my dumbass. So push those back down, and you're gonna put the pins 14mm, and I'm gonna try to get the click on the torque wrench this time so you can hear it. But before I do that, I'm gonna double check just to make sure I've got everything in place. Okay, so I double checked, everything looks good. I'm about to put the pins back in. So these are the 14mm. So I'm going to put it into position. I'm gonna hand tighten it until there's a little resistance. Alright, there you go. Then I'm gonna put the other one, same thing. Just gonna tie it in there. So that's the second 14mm. Nope, there you go. So that resistance again. Tie this one again with the hand until it's resistance. Alright, so now that they're hopefully evenly, I'm gonna adjust my wrench, my torque wrench. So you see, it's at 72 right now. So I need to get this down to 25. So I'm gonna turn it to the left to reduce it. Down to 25, 30, 10. Okay, so here's 10, right? Boom. 0, right on the line, so that's 10. So one full circle all the way around would be 20. So we can do one full circle. That's supposed to be 20. So we're gonna do 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Just like that. Okay. Alright, so this is 17mm head. There's a 14mm head, put that on the bad boy. And you'll hear the click throughout the bar, so you know you're at 25 foot. Let's see. Boom, right there. That was the click. That's all you needed. There you go, so there's the bottom. It tells you right there, lock it. You gotta do, just move it to the right to lock it. Make sure you hold the head, this right here. Hold that at the same time because it will move on you, which defeats the whole purpose. So, felt the click. There we go. This was right here, so not a lot of room. It was easy to take off. To put it back on, it was very, so definitely get a flat one of these for the 17mm. But that's it. That's it. Everything is in place. The bolts. All I gotta do is just put the tire back on. I'm gonna double check one more time, but this should be it. Alright, so now that everything's tightened on there, I'm gonna take off this lug nut. It's gonna be a lot easier. I don't have to do it with the camera, but since I thought I'd do it and I'm a first timer, I thought I'd put a video up there for people. Hopefully it helps in some degree as well. Everything's tight, look at that. Everything's on there. Everything in place. It looks like how I left it to me. Nothing's moving. Everything's in place. I think we're gonna get to the part where I'm gonna put the tire on, lower it, and then I'm gonna have to press on the brake. Let's go check it with the brake fluid. See if it went up at all. Let's see what happened after doing that. It's kind of hard to tell. I don't think so. Alright, well, at least nothing spilled out. That's good. Alright, I'm gonna put the tire back on, take it off the jack, and do the next part here. Tire is back on. I was able to use the torque wrench. So according to the manufacturer, torque wrench is at 76 to 80. So I did 78. The last part is to, where's the keys? My keys are over here. To turn on the car. I'm gonna close the brake fluid cap as well before I start the car. I don't see that much difference in the brake fluid, so I'm probably gonna have to get more. I'm gonna cap that on. Alright, now I'm gonna turn it on. And I'm supposed to. Okay, so I'm gonna press on the brakes all the way down slowly until it stops. Slow, slow, slow. Alright, that's as far as I can go. Let it come back up. Press the brakes again. And it's supposed to get a little bit tighter each time, so hopefully it should get tighter. Okay, yep, I can only go about halfway now. Let it back up. Third time should go even farther. Sorry, less farther down now, even more. Slow, slow, slow. Still able to press it pretty decent. Back to the middle, I would say. Do it fourth time. Yeah, so it looks like basically middle is normal. I can't go all the way down though, so mid is where it's at. That was just one. Took me forever, 2.5 hours. Mostly because I was recording at the same time, I want to say. But I'm gonna hit the other 3. I guess I'll let you guys know how things go from here. So I'm at 81,277 miles. So I guess I'll update this video within the next couple of years. Maybe I won't, maybe I'll kill myself, depending on how the brakes go. And I'll just let you guys know how long these rotors last, how long the brakes last. And we'll keep it going from there. So I hope you guys appreciate this video. If you have any comments, just let me know. And I'll try to take a picture of everything that I used and upload it on there. Alright, bye. So I started working on the front ones finally. And they're a little different than the back. And you can see these do have little pins that come with them. You just want to make sure you match up the pin with the way it looks inside. See, it looks like that one. And this one looks like that one. So you're just going to pop these out and put those in there. And then you put the brakes in there just like you would the back. I'm going to try to put it in here. I've seen on other videos, just make sure you don't mix up the order of these. So the way they are before you take them off, make sure you remember which way to put them back in. It's going to be very important. And what I've noticed, it's easier to just take it from up, push it in and then down. So I'm push it up into the bracket area and snap it down. You want to make sure it's flush in there. Press it down just to make sure it's really flush. So even with the lube, the caliper brake lube I put on there, I still wasn't able to get these brake pads in there. So it took me a while, probably 30 minutes to figure out the best way to do this. So no matter what I did, if you put it in the normal way, you see that little clip in there? Right. So you put it over it, right, and then you're supposed to turn it. You see how it pushes down? And then it flips up. See the pin it's going down, you roll it over. So this is the trouble I've been having the whole time. This piece does not want to go in there. Right, so you see how you slide it in this way, push the pin down, and then try to turn it, doesn't work. Does not work. I tried it a million times. So the only way I was able to get it is, instead of putting it in and trying to flip it this way, I did it this way. I started on this side, and then I pushed the pin down from here. Push the pin down, and then flip it. Alright, and then the same thing on this side. Except this side, it's a little bit harder because that one's already in there. Because that one's already in. This one you're gonna have to push the pin down on this side. This one, where's it? Where's the pin down? It's harder for the camera though. There's the pin. See that pin right there? So now when you go from this side and put it in, press the pin down and then slide it in. I'll try to show you. I can't do it with one hand, so I'm gonna have to do this again. Okay, finally got him in there again. Like I said, this is the most difficult part, because when you're pushing it in this way, where you're holding this pin down, and I had to press on this metal part right here in as well at the same time to make this fit. It's crazy. So the easiest way, once again, is set the first one on one side. So just stick it in here, push this pin down, put it in from this way, not this way. Get that set. And then this one's a harder one because it's super tight. So you need to push this in and push this pin down. Almost not at the same time, but it's easier to push this pin down first. Get this little black part on top of it, just very little bit, and then push this middle bottom piece in at the same time while you're pulling it this way to latch it in the middle. It's tough, but it's manageable.
After I completed my brakes and rotors, I checked my brake fluid, and as you can see, it did go back up almost to the max. So like I stated in the beginning of the video, do not fill it up with brake fluid until after you're done doing the job, because it may raise up like it did on mine. And then also, if you look at this, make sure you inspect all the parts that you bought, because the rotor I got from AutoZone had a crack in it. So I had to return it and get another one. So definitely be careful and inspect the parts that you purchase. So after driving close to 500 miles, there's still no noise, no shaking, no rattling, and I've had to brake hard at some points and nothing has gone wrong. It stopped like it's supposed to. So if you have any comments, please just leave it below.